I call the Honourable Member Reno Terakatini. Tēnā koe, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very pleased to make the final contribution from the Labour Party in opposition to the Prime Minister's statement.
There'll be many more from the Labour Party.
Just over 2 weeks since the Prime Minister stood before this House and the nation and so sneeringly told us what a great start to the year it's been. Delivered in that John Key joking manner is really just screams insincere. For 4 years, we've had carefully crafted excuses as to why this country of ours is getting nowhere, why we can't get ahead. It's the fault of the global financial crisis, or it's the fault of the Tandem slaves, or it's the fault of the Illuminati, or some other fanciful excuse. It's the fault of everyone but the national government. I could agree, Mr. Speaker, that this country is getting nowhere because we have a government that refuses to take direction and show some leadership. They are hands-off. And it's rich on Mr. Joyce to talk about focus groups when we know that he had a whole book written about him as a holiday, one of the holiday men in terms of focus groups and Crosby Texter and strategic communication consultants, all of those sorts of carrying on that we know underpin this period of war of national government. But Mr. Speaker, I want to just focus on 3 things which are dear to me. Kids, poverty and health. Last year came out damning statistics on child poverty. They were really sorry reading. The stats show that too many kids live in unhealthy homes.
I could hear you.
Going to school tired and hungry and have zero chance of learning under that sort of regime. And while we all know it's wrong to identify schools by their decile rating, the fact of the matter, it's the decile 1, 2 and 3 schools that have the breakfast clubs, not the decile 10 schools. You see, in the Prime Minister's perfect world, everyone is as rich as he, or they should pull themselves up by their bootstraps and reach for the stars. But some it's the same with this National Caucus. But they wouldn't know Struggle Street. They don't know about Struggle Street. But here's a scary thought, Mr. Speaker. If you're a Māori or Polynesian and living in this country, you definitely are on a road to nowhere. Or you're flocking to the departure lounge and heading, like the 53,000 other Kiwis, over to Australia. But don't blame Labour for it, blame the national government. They're the ones with the ministers who fail to understand the clients they serve. And we already know the 2 casualties. We've had Kate Wilkinson gone, Phil Heatley, he was a no good as housing minister, and he's gone, although he did mention in the select committee today that he's down, but he's not out. Good luck to him. But now we look at the state of the housing market, and it's blowing out. And we know that, there's another property bubble that's getting bigger and bigger in this country. The government that have made it too expensive to build the Kiwi dream because the parameters on the Reserve Bank are too narrow. Inflation targeting is not working in this context that we're in now. The world is awash with debt. Countries around the world are debasing their currencies, and it's just putting more pressure on our currency, and it's crippling our manufacturing sector and our export base. So there are many, many things that are suffering right across our economy. And if I turn to Christchurch, there's not enough housing stock in Christchurch. There's a crisis down there. And the ones that have been shafted by the government and the greedy landlords of Christchurch are the same old Māori and Polynesian whānau who have limited resources and even less money or jobs. Rents have gone up in that city, and it's forced whānau into seriously overcrowded situations, which has led to poor health. Children from these environments going to school every day, tired, sick and hungry, and so are unable to learn anything. That's if they're going to school at all. So nowadays we have the real problem of kids not going to school because they can't afford basic tools and learning, basic things like stationery. Kids not going to school because mum and dad can't afford just basic things. Now that's the type of New Zealand that this government has created. A New Zealand where kids live in substandard housing and poverty, where kids go to school and if they're lucky on a packet of 2-minute noodles, and that's if they've eaten it all. They've created an environment where if your child gets a strep throat, it leads to some serious diseases. It's tough being a little kid in this country, especially so when you're broke. But New Zealand isn't a poor country, sir. We're a rich country, but we have a problem with how wealth is spread. This government is too concerned with accumulating wealth at the top end of society while leaving more than just little crumbs for everyone below. It's a me approach to governing, a winner-takes-all approach to society, and it's wrong. And that's why the Anglican Church's Family Centre has calculated that we need a living wage. $18 to $20 is what's needed. It is necessary to provide workers and their families with the basic necessities of life. See, under this government, 750,000 people earn less or about that amount. That's the number of working poor in this country has ballooned. Even beginner teachers, who most would say are skilled workers, earn less than that amount. Not only is this a government of low expectation, it's a government of low wages. Mr. Speaker, I now want to turn to training and education, because we've heard a lot about that in this debate. You know, 90,000 rangatahi across the country are not in employment, education or training. Those are horrific numbers. And we have unemployment figures where Māori and Pacific are 3 times that for unemployed than for Pākehā. You know, and then what do we hear out of the Prime Minister? You know, as we heard in his statement to the House, this is the government that actually trains people as opposed to spending money and absolutely getting no result. And this is the rub, Mr. Speaker, wasting millions of taxpayers' money. One word, Mr. Speaker, Novapay. If anyone needs a better example of a government wasting millions of taxpayer dollars and getting no results, it's no pay, Novapay. We've heard that it's costing them over $5 million just to, and then they've got commissions of inquiries as well, trying to rectify the mess, and it is an absolute mess. Novapay has become a new word in the Kiwi lexicon for a total and complete balls up. And Minister Parata is right at the top of it. She signed it off, and she's definitely not the smooth communicator, because she's umming and ahhing and really in the hot seat, getting grilled by my colleague there, Mr. Hipkins. And long may it continue. Last week, Mr. Speaker, we had some terrible news about the Main Zeal construction receivership. You know, if they are talking up about this, how great our economy is, I say, Mr. Speaker, Main Zeal's demise is a huge blow to the whole construction industry, but also to the many hundreds of thousands of workers and subcontractors that were all supported by that enterprise. Now, the government, they're screaming for apprenticeships and skilled workers, or so we think, for Christchurch. When young men who want to be trained as brickies or chippies, when they go to a Main Zeal site and they see that site's closed down, and they'll see subcontractors not even able to go in there and get their tools, those young men will think twice about taking up a career in the construction industry. So we're not actually attracting new apprenticeships. And what do they want to do? They want to fly in cheap labour from overseas. But the biggest scandal of all, Mr. Speaker, for this government is the record high unemployment, 7.3%. As I said before, Māori and Pacific unemployment 3 times the rate for Pākehā. That's the highest rate since the last national government in the 1990s. Again, they blame the global financial crisis, soft demand overseas, blame our Labour government. But the Labour government left the lowest unemployment rate in the OECD and low public debt. The blame squarely lays at the feet of this national government. And I'm proud of the new initiatives that Labour has announced with our Kiwi Bill policy. We'll get more lower to middle income earners into affordable housing, increasing the supply. You know, if anyone talks about numbers about what 300,000 will get you, I just say, haere mai ki te wai Pounamu, come to the South Island. In Blenheim, you'll get a 3-bedroom home, 249,000. 4-bedroom in Dunedin, 270. In Lumsden, you can get a 3 or 4-bedroom home, 69,000 to 159,000. And if you want to be a real landed gentry, you can go to Lumsden, get 4.6 hectares of land for, wait for it, $165,000. And then that extra 135 that you're left over with, will probably get you a home in a rental property. So there is many opportunities for affordable housing, and we're looking right across the country, not at Auckland-centric view of the world. And I'm very proud that across the Māori electorate there are many opportunities for that housing development, that Kiwi Build policy to take place. So, Mr. Speaker, we do oppose this government. We oppose everything that they're all about. They're right, we're left, they're blue, we're red, they're ugly, and we're the attractive opposites. And we're ready to take this government down come 2014 because the people out there definitely want to change. Kia ora no tātou.
Greetings again to us.
Just before I call the next speaker, can I advise the remaining speakers in this debate and request them actually that they do not switch the handheld microphones on or off, because the sound operators out there will control the sound for you. So there's no need to switch it on or off. I call the